With over 37 years of experience, American Rugby Outfitters have been dedicated to providing quality rugby gear to those who like to get dirty. The ARO team prides itself in delivering the highest quality rugby gear that will withstand the punishment rugby dishes out. Brands such as Adidas, Barbarian, Gilbert, Canterbury, and ProTech will deliver when the game gets tough. Whether you need team uniforms, boots, bags, field equipment, or swag for the Postmaster Social, ARO is your source for quality rugby gear. They can set up your club or business with a team store like they did for us to ensure every member looks as good as the pros. If the international game is your vibe, ARO will carry you across the line with officially licensed gear from the Eagles, Springboks, All Blacks, England, Ireland, and Wales, amongst others. Visit rugbygear.com and check out all that the folks from American Rugby Outfitters have to offer. Use the code RANT15 to get a 15% discount site-wide. As an added bonus, when the items in your cart are $100 or more, you get free shipping to anywhere in the continental United States. Don't forget to check out our line of Rugby Rant gear available exclusively at rugbygear.com. Don't forget to use RANT15 to get 15% off of your order site-wide. American Rugby Outfitters, dedicated to the toughest demands in the world's toughest game.
And welcome, Rugby Rant fans. The big guy is still jacked up from a great MLR Championship Series weekend. It is episode 101. We got Rob the Hammerschmidt. We got Preston the Little Hammer with us today. And right now we're going to get into our Around the Pitch. And I'm going to start it off. Let's talk about the great Andy Ellis. Andy Ellis, Andy Ellis. After winning his
he will not be your friend anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
Listen, just post a picture of me and him right here.
Yeah.
He announced his retirement to the team and players, Coach Rooney, after the match. He's hanging up the boots. 38 years old, going off, scoring a try, and winning an MLR championship is, I think the best thing I could say about Andy Ellis is he's a way better person than he is a rugby player. And that's saying something. The dude takes the time to speak to everybody that asks him a question, no matter where he is. His family are great, gracious as all get out. People are looking to spend time with Andy, and they allow him to do so, and they allow the fact that their dad and their husband can go and spend some time with fans when, some people might not let them do that. And it's just gracious, the family, gracious player. Andy, thank you so much for what you've given to the game here in the States. And hopefully we'll see you back, maybe in a coaching role. We'll see. Preston, what do you got?
I got NFTs. So there's been some discussion in the fan zone about what's going on, what is an NFT, all that fun stuff. Personally, I think they're super funny and kind of just like this cool thing and a good way for the MLR to branch out. Those guys that have been wondering when the hell is it coming out finally did. If you were watching the game, it popped up right before. Scan this QR code to go to this link to go collect your NFT. You go on, and I went on. I sign up. I'm excited because I've been waiting for this to see what's going on with it. And it says in the my cards area, nothing. It says in the My Packs area, nothing. It says click here to go to the shop to buy it. I click it, it says coming soon. So my question was, is this a big tease or is the MLR screwed up? I got an email today. And ladies and gentlemen, I have my championship NFT. And if you can see, oh, come on. Oh, no. This is really frustrating. You see that, Scott? Nate Brakely, baby.
Rooney Captain, that's a good NFT. That's a good one.
How good is that? So if you guys can't see, it's got him just sitting here, him screaming, and it's got the ticket at the bottom. My serial number is number 26 of 30. It's a legendary. I just think it's like a super funny, like cool way, like we were talking about the three of us. You're not going to go find trading cards out there in a Walmart, Target, like you would football cards. So you got to buy, if they were to do it, you have to buy it in the shop. I think this is just a cool way to go. Hey, just go buy it. You'll get it right away. We don't have to send you anything. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool. And you could buy, sell with other people. So, yeah, I mean, go get on there. I think if you did go on the QR code, it said that people who did it, like myself and the Hammer, you'll get early notice on when the packs come out, and you can buy them earlier than other people. So if you did your QR code and you're a little bit of work, you'll get early access. So that's all I got. Yeah.
I got to take a look because before we started recording, Preston said I was supposed to get something airdropped to my phone.
Yeah.
I did it. I'm reaching out to Newark to see what's going on, and maybe we'll have an update later. So, Rob, what's your first topic for Around the Pitch?
Yeah, I want to bring light on the women's game in my Around the Pitch. And so the first one I'm going to hit, the WPL Championship was this weekend. I've never really, spent a lot of time investing in the WPL, to be honest. But I went down to Lamont, Illinois, home of the Chicago Blaze, my home team. It was the conclusion of a 10-week competition. 10 teams, including several U23 development teams, competed. The finals involved the Berkeley All Blues, who won 29-7. They beat Beantown. I loved it. I met a lot of great players. I met a lot of great fans. I met a lot of great ladies who are well invested in the game. I'm excited for this league, and I'm excited for what's to come. Got a chance to interview a couple ladies, including the commissioner, Kit Ruiz. Hopefully we'll have some news coming out in the near future. But it's great news for the American women who play our game. I want to also throw a shout out to Lisa Jackson. She won she's from the Atlanta Harlequins. She was awarded with the inaugural Kathy Flores Heart of the WPL Award. For all her work that she does for the women's game and the WPL. It's the first year it was given. Of course, Kathy was lost recently within the last, I think, year. And so what a great honor. I had a chance to interview her. Show a little bit here. Kath, and how much does this award mean to you, Lisa, in the context of Kathy's passing recently?
So I was only blessed to meet Kathy once or twice, and just this whole league embodies everything I've ever heard about her. Everyone behind the scenes is working so hard to make us the premier league in this country. We know what women's rugby can be here, and everyone, this isn't for me, this is for everyone. And this is Kathy. What I do, what everyone else out here, all the other candidates do, it's all because of someone that paved the way, and that was Kathy.
She was, it was touching to just be with her when she was given that award, because she certainly was emotional about that experience, and it was fun to see. It was fun to be a part of it, and thoroughly enjoyed the weekend. So thank you to Kit and everybody that works tirelessly for women's rugby in the United States.
Listen, I was following it. My New York Rugby Club women were unfortunately destined for fourth place this year after kicking butt all season, but them's the breaks. But love to see it. It was a great friggin'
I want to throw a shout out to TJ Olson. Brought a team here, got a chance to catch up with him, but also the U23 Harlequins. Wow, were there some tremendous rugby players in that pitch? It was incredible. And their coach, whose name I apologize, I forgot. She's going to be coaching at Dartmouth next year. Wow, what a great group of ladies, tremendous players. So it was exciting.
Love to see it. So my next topic, we're going across the pond to Europe there. Our boy, USA Eagle, TT Lamacitelli, is a French top 14 championship. Montpellier winning 29-10 this past weekend to win the top 14. He's been playing great all season. Obviously, he's been selected to the Eagles. Most likely our starter at loosehead prop. And his title, last year we had David Ainu on Toulouse winning a Champions Cup title last year. So we had, two big Americans, Eagles, that were involved in these French champions. And we talk about where we want to be in the MLR as we go on. And I think the top 14 is a good barometer to set to say, as we make jumps, we want to hit that top 14 pace and maybe bring guys like TT and David back so that they're playing in the MLR. Listen, they got to get better. You have to play better competition. Iron sharpens iron. So love to see them playing in those top leagues, but I want the MLR to come back and get to that same spot. Preston, what's your second topic?
I got the Collegiate Rugby Shield coming up, and the rosters of two teams are finally finalized. And I got to read through all the Lindenwood names because there's too many to just name off the top of my head. The Canyons, we first off got Evan Conlon. Then we got John Flex Stewart, Liam Smith, Sam Buckley. And I believe that's it on that team. On the Peaks, we got Gabe Kettering, Blake Knight, William Whiteside, Clem, Lucas Black. Going through, I believe that's it. Those are the big names. I think there's about 8 of them. Yeah, a lot of LU boys representing. So I'm really excited to see how they do out there and hopefully kick some ass and get drafted and go play some MLR.
Yeah, the shirts that they are putting out are really, really cool.
Yeah, they're
shirts.
Cool.
I threw a shout out to Sparks and said, boy, I would wear one of those on the show if given an opportunity.
Because you're not a clothes horse or anything.
Never. I'm going to go right into my second one here, and I'm going to stick with the theme of women's rugby here in the United States. It's important to know that along with Title IX here in the United States, women's rugby is experiencing a similar celebration, 50 years, and obviously the two events are synonymous with one another for a reason because they're deeply connected. But to celebrate this, the U.S. Women's Rugby Museum is traveling. It's going to be at 5 total sites, 5 total locations. It was Atlanta, Georgia for the AG Sevens. It was in NOLA for the NCR Sevens. It was in Clinton, New Jersey for the Mid-Atlantic Women's Rugby Showcase, Collegiate Showcase. It was here in Chicago for the WPL Championship. And for those that haven't seen it, but are going to be in D.C. on July 16th, I believe it is, for the PR7s, it will be there as well. Obviously, with the equality in pay in the PR7s, there's a reason it's going to be at that event. And then it's going to find a final resting place shortly thereafter. But I got a chance to catch up with the president, Danita, and with VP Carrie Heffernan, and had great conversations with them both. Saw some of the artifacts and things like that that they had represented there. I mean, you're talking about the first World Cup jersey. You're talking about the first ever USA team jersey. Some really cool pieces of history there. Probably one of my favorite, though, was a T-shirt that was made by the Iron Uterus team. And they named themselves that because, obviously a lot of men at the time playing rugby said, oh, women's, uterus will fall out if they, do too much activity. And so it was kind of a mocking say, well, we got iron ones. So that's not happening. Pretty cool stuff. But I want folks to know, and we're going to post the link, by the way. The best thing about this is it's an online exhibit. So you can go see all these pieces of history in the women's rugby game at uswrf.org. Check it out. You can donate. Again, the landscape of women's rugby, we are working towards professionalism here in the United States. So, Kate Zachary can play in the United States instead of having to go to England and have a great level of play to compete at. But it's wonderful stuff happening with the museum to document that.
That's awesome. And I'm going to be at the PR7's leg in DC. So if you see me, please stop, talk to me a little bit, take a picture, tell me where you're from, tell me how you listen, tell me how you watch, and enjoy this museum piece. Rob's already had I heard about it before Rob told me about it, I would be going to it, but Rob really, sold it for what it is. And I'm very excited to be able to go see it in DC. And those are some great topics, a lot going on in North American rugby. And before we get to our rant portion of the show, where we're going to pit Rob and Preston against their buddy Joey, we're going to get a word from our sponsors.
This ball represents the game we love. A game fueled by passion. But there are those who wear no number, nor are they in the locker room or the field of play. But they are there for every high and every low. Yes, they are watching every kick, tackle, and try score. Yes, they are there for when you need them most, because they are the Major League Rugby fans. And the time has come for you to stand with your team. Join us at shopmlr.com today.
And welcome back, Rugby Rant fans. We're at one of my favorite parts of the show. It's the rant segment. I'm Scott, the big guy Ferrara. With me, Rob the Hammerschmidt, as always. We got Preston, the little Hammerschmidt, and introducing Joey Rasmus. Now, Joey, head coach of University of Illinois rugby team, head coach of the WPL's North Shore Women, and director of rugby for the Silverbacks. Joey, welcome to the show, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. We're going to put you to the test here on this rant. As you guys can tell, I'm still a little banged up from celebrating that Rudy win. And that's what we're going to talk about. What we're going to have a little bit. Yeah, I know, boo-hoo, right?
Feel bad for you.
Yeah. We're going to talk about what we're going to actually do is we're going to do a little recap of what we thought of the final, and then we're going to talk about the good and the bad, the ugly, for the entire MLR 2022 season. It's been ups, it's been downs, it's been litigation, it's been venue issues, it's been players coming and going. I mean, I think this is what happens with the regular, rugby, with a smaller rugby league that we have here. But it's very interesting, and I mean, obviously, I can't say enough about the match, so I'll start off just a little bit. I was very excited to be there. Lucky enough to be front row and center for the entire match. I believe ticket sales were over 2,500, which is pretty good considering you had 4 days. Flights right now going cross country from Seattle to New York are expensive. I think Tony Ridnell paid something ridiculous, like $2,000 to fly in on Saturday.
Shut up!
Yeah, he flew. I swear to God, he flew in like Friday night and flew out on Saturday. He had something. Check out his Facebook. He did like tickets. Plane tickets $2,000. Whatever. Rugby tickets $50. Winning a championship priceless type deals. But yeah, I mean it's expensive. We had a lot of Seattle fans. Who did take the flights and put their money where their mouth is, and I got to hang out with a bunch of them. Marty Jacobson, unfortunately, Christian wasn't there. Matt Cartwright, we did another ball exchange, which was awesome. That was pretty solid. Yeah, we tailgated with them beforehand. We hung out with them in the stands. Everybody was in the kind of the same section, all the big fans. And then we tailgated afterwards. Broccoli Man made an appearance there. But the Toronto Arrows guy was there too. The Lucha Libre mask guy. Toronto was there. So we had some, we had some big name fans there. It wasn't just the big guy. We had a bunch of people, but it was fun atmosphere. It was a great time. But I'm going to throw it over to Preston. Tell us your impressions of what you felt of how the championship went.
Well, I'll start off. Lindenwood alumni, Chance Bangalowski won it, so that's freaking awesome. Love to see it. I love that it was at another big venue, which is really good to see. Like, again, another uptake, better than high school stadium. But I was just like super pleased to see a team that wasn't LA win it, wasn't Seattle win it, even though Seattle was in it. Like, I just love to see like another team winning it. I mean, I was just pleased with the overall experience.
Yeah, it was fun to be in the big venue, and I think we're going to talk about that in our next topic. But it's one of those venues. It's nice to play in. It's nice to be there, but it is a New York venue. It has New York pricing: $7 for a water, $15 for a beer. I had my wife and my 3 kids there, and I'm talking to feed them. Continuously get them water because it was a really hot day. As a matter of fact, they had to tap out around the 50th minute because one of my sons was really just not having it. I mean, it was like a $250 day plus $200 for tickets. So I'm talking me and my family spent almost $500. That doesn't include gas tolls, parking, things like that to go to this championship game. So, it was tough on the pocket, but again, it's a once in a lifetime chance to be there. So, I'm going to do it. But you're speaking of Chance actually had 2 different t-shirts that he created specifically.
I saw that.
Sold at the merch tent. Yeah. So I picked one up. I also picked up something for the little Hammer, a little present. I got him the MLR Rooney finalist shirt that was being sold.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, exclusively at the championship, just for him. But yeah, and I mean, it was nice to be there. It was nice to be. There's no bad point to look at the stadium. You had fans branching out all over the place. You had them branching out into the end zones, and kind of spreading out a little bit as the game went on because it got so hot. And nobody complained about the view. I'll put it that way. So it was great to have. It was really great to have. So Joey, what are your thoughts about the final?
Yeah, well, I can't talk about the final without talking about Andy Ellis and his boot. What a special way for that guy to end his career. And obviously there's the try that makes a big impact, but he just completely dictated that game and forced Seattle on the back foot over and over and over again. And I'm really excited as a coach to see that great tactical kicking game. But what a special way for him to control the game, contribute to his team. That was really, really special for me. I also thought that Fox Sports did a fantastic job with the production, really creating the atmosphere. I get obsessed with watching the rugby league produced by Nine in Australia, and I felt the similar experience to the audio design. And it's little things like that really make the experience for you as a fan. So those were my real positives coming out of the weekend. I can't imagine spending $2,000 on flights and then having to pay $17 for a beer right after that. That's got to be harsh, and especially if you flew in and you have to take the PATH train out to is it Hoboken, New Jersey? I remember going there for a London Irish series match a few years back, and that's a brutal trek. So I hope people enjoyed the atmosphere in the venue enough to forget the PATH train experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it was driving, but yeah, the path, believe it or not, the path for this one, a little bit easier because you didn't have the crunch of people. And I was actually at that Saturdays London Irish match. It was right I think the day before St. Patty's. I think St. Patty's was on a Sunday that year, and they played on a Saturday. And it wasn't a sellout, but I think they said they had something like 18 or 19,000 and 25,000 capacity. And I think that started to prove that you can have these matches there. The next rugby match that was there was Eagles Ireland, which I think it was Saturdays was 2015. Eagles Ireland was 2017. So yeah, we've consistently shown that we can actually host these matches here. People are going to come to these matches. It's funny you talked about Andy Ellis, and yeah, it kind of was a little bit off on what Rooney usually does as far as box kicking. Andy can box kick, but it wasn't necessarily part of the game plan during the regular season. And we saw it utilized beautifully with Waisake Naholo and Andrew Coe really giving good run-ups on those chases. When you have guys like that out on the wing, unfortunately, Ed Fidel was injured in the quarterfinal. When you have guys like Andrew Coe and Waisake Naholo who can chase it, why not kick it up? And we saw some. I think Waisake stole one. Andrew Coe had made some guys get nervous. Nihi Milner Scudder was doing some booming kicks and then chasing them and getting in guys' faces. I think he just disrupted their flow. Honestly, for me, try the season. Nicky Mayhew, I got to be honest, that forward to forward to forward to forward to forward, behind the back, through the legs. Nicky's on the ground. He's off the ground. He gets the ball back. He scores a try. Honestly, for me, try the season for the entire MLR. But let's hear what the Hammer has to say.
So as far as gameplay goes, I thought that Seattle, they came out really strong in the first 10. And whereas in the previous week in the Western Conference match, they didn't let off the gas. They kept up the intensity and the pace of play, whether it was the fact that Rooney really put a lot of defensive pressure on the back line of Seattle and really made them play on the back foot. Or whether they just were having trouble adjusting to the time change or whatever have you. It just seemed they ran out of steam that they had in the previous week. And I thought that, obviously Rooney really played that effectively and played pretty well. I would have liked to have seen a little tighter scoreline at the end just to make it a more exciting final. But that's from a neutral observer, somebody who didn't have a skin in the game, so to speak, as the big guy did. But I want to talk a little bit about the fact that I did like an Eastern Conference, winner finally, right? I mean, of course, it's the first time we've had an East and a West, but it was, or I guess the second year that we've had an East and West. But it was good to see, it being shuttled around the East Coast instead of being on the West Coast again. I got to tell you, the field conditions were phenomenal. I love the change of venue. In spite of the fact it's 25,000, you're still getting a phenomenal facility, a first-rate facility. It's going to be tough to compete with the Coliseum, but I thought Red Bull did a great job. Of course, everybody complains about, having, at Segra or, at John Quincy having, soccer lines and lacrosse lines and all this, that, and the other. And you actually just had rugby lines, right? I mean, what's not to like when you have a venue and a final that just has rugby lines? It's more than other facilities in the MLR can say and speak to. Great sight lines, I'm sure, for the fans, but good sight lines as somebody watching at home. I didn't really look at the fans and go, oh boy, they're really lost in the sea of 25,000 seats. I didn't see that at all. I mean, they were a little spaced out, as Scott said, but I thought that, the fans really showed it, and you could hear them quite a bit. So I thought that was good. And finally, to speak to what Joey said, the production, I mean, at the end, the post-game interviews, the post interview with Andy Ellis was phenomenal. The post-match interview, the presentation, the celebration, everything that comes after, I thought was awesome. It was good to see. So overall, I liked what I saw as a product when I watched from home.
And you were talking about the Sea Wolves and how well they were playing, especially at the beginning of that match. And if you go to at MLR Stats and you look at the top 10 tacklers of the 2022 playoffs, 7 out of 10 are Rooney players. Brandon O'Connor, number 1. Antonio Kitty, number 2. Chance Wigluski, number 3. Travis Larson of the Seawolves, number 4. Ben Bonasso of Rooney, number 5. Wian Kamrati of the Free Jacks, number 6. James Malcolm of the Seawolves, number 7. Fossey Fuatai, Dylan Fawcett, and Jason Emery round out the bottom 3 with tackles in the postseason. I mean, I think that just goes to show, defense was on display for Rooney against Seattle, and a tough Seattle side who came back, scored a try to really bring him back in it around the 74th minute that got called back from the phase before. And then Rooney kind of took it away from there. We mentioned it, or I mentioned it in our Around the Pitch, Andy Ellis's retirement. And it was just great to see him get his last try, get a championship in the last match before he's hanging him up. And if you guys didn't get to see it, go check out the at Rugby United Instagram, and you'll see all the New Zealand boys did a haka for Andy at the end of the match. I don't know if they showed it on Fox or not, but it was really nice to see a nice send-off. And I got to hang with Andy, for about 30 or 40 minutes after the match, just kind of, ask him some questions about, his life in rugby and, what he enjoyed. And, he said the last 2 seasons with Rudy, he just really enjoyed after a match having his kids on the field and having a runabout. And, win or lose, his family was always there with him to have this runabout. And I mean, honestly, his family traveled to, the away matches they could. So he was having his sons and his kids on the field all the time to do this. And he said that's kind of what motivated him to stay with Rooney again a second year and really just have fun with it and try not to be as serious on the pitch, as he has been in the past, and he had fun with it, so I think that's, you pay attention.
Yeah. Sorry. I was going to say a lot less pressure for him than perhaps, it would have been had he stayed in New Zealand and played, in Mitre 10 or played, at any type of other level. So it I'm sure that was enjoyable for him.
Yeah, I got to hang with him and thank him a lot for what he's done, for the league, for the team, just being a nice guy overall. And, it's funny because a lot of people were talking about what they call the old blacks, Waisaki Naholo, Nihi Milner Scudder, and Andy Ellis. And to be honest, when you looked at who balled out in this postseason, you're talking about Will Tucker scoring a try. You're talking about Nick Mayhew scoring a try. You're talking about Antonio Kiri coming in the last third of the season and being a top 2 tackler with Brendan O'Connor. Those are 4 Kiwis, guys who aren't All Blacks, who have balled out. Jason Emery, a Maori All Black, who balled out all season. And those are the guys that really got us wins. Those are the guys that push themselves to get a product on the field that they were proud of and come in and do the dirty work. So I think, everybody wants to joke about the old Blacks. I think these guys coming in and you see it now and you see what they put out on the field. And they were champions for it. So it's nice to see. So, that was really our recap of the championship. I mean, everybody watched it. It was, all I heard was very complimentary things about the Fox broadcast. Obviously Down, Stanford, and Mike Petrie in the booth is a dream team. I forgot. Oh, Down had one of his friggin' lines about Andy, something about cracking nuts or something like that. But it was, classic Dallin doing his thing. From the field level, didn't really notice the production team. It's funny. I noticed during the season, in Hoboken at JFK, you noticed the production team. You noticed them last year. I guess because they're professional setups for TV production, you don't see as many people running around the field as you normally do on the sideline. So it was interesting to almost have a quiet, less busy sideline where it's just official, one camera and a ball boy. So it was interesting, believe it or not. It's something I actually noticed throughout the match. But we're going to go around the other way. We're going to start with Rob, and I want to hear your good, your bad, and your ugly for the 2022 season. Take it away, Hammer.
All right. Well, I'm going to touch upon something I spoke about in the first part of the rant. The good, Red Bull Arena. I mean, got to give a great shout out to Rooney, who organized in short order, that move to a better venue for the final, right? Nothing wrong with Hoboken, not bitching about it, not complaining, but it is Red Bull's obviously a better venue. And the fact that they got that done for the final, you got to say hats off to them for making that happen, whether that was Stephen Lewis or whomever got it done. Good on you. Okay. So that's my good. My bad. And I'm going to draw some fire here. And quite frankly, I don't care. And at the risk of that, let me put it in context. I get the fact that in the MLR, we need foreign players to come in that have experienced professionalism and can show American players how to be pros. But I'll just speak of the final. There were each team had 4 Americans in their starting 15, and then 1 Canadian each. Boy, for America to grow as we build towards 2031, that number's got to be improved upon. And again, I know it's going to take a little time, but somehow, guys like Connor Buckley have to be able to give an opportunity to get more minutes in order to step up to that stage. So that's my bad. I think, as we look forward, that's something that's got to be improved. And of course, I think it might be unanimous, but the ugly, the uncertainty in LA. I've talked to a lot of people from different sources that are unrelated. A lot of the Aussie boys head back overseas. No contracts are being signed. Basically, there's lots of people. A lot of people were fired in LA and let go. And there's lots of people who don't know what their position is. They have no idea what the next step is for LA. They're basically in the dark. And, look, based upon what I've seen, will I be surprised if LA is not in the league next year? No. Am I predicting it? I have no idea. The next coming weeks, I think we'll get a better shape on that. But quite frankly, things are not good there, and it's ugly to lose a team that won the championship last year in short order.
Yeah, let me touch upon a few points. Yeah, so I think this is the first time that we've had a stadium for the championship that wasn't a home ground officially for a team. So you're talking about you finish the Eastern Conference Finals at 6 or 7 at night. You come back home the next day, and you have to sign contracts in short order to try and get a stadium on the hook for the next Saturday. It was good. That Rick Salizo and the team really pushed to get this done, and they did, and it was successful. As far as the foreign players, it depends on what you're calling a foreign player, because let's take Dylan Fawcett, for example, is one of those guys you spoke about, right? Well, Connor McManus, technically he's American via passport, even though he lived in New Zealand. Joe Basser, right. No, I'm saying Joe Basser, Australian, born in Manhattan. So I think we have to. No, I'm just. I'm expanding on your topic.
An American player, but
I'm expanding on it.
He wasn't developed in America. a guy like Chance Wegelowski who came out of Union High School in Oklahoma. That's an American player.
But until we get that grassroots level, I don't know how consistent we're going to be to get a player like Chance up to that level. So we might have to start with guys like Connor McManus and Joe Basser, who did their schoolboy rugby, uni rugby outside the country, and then are coming here and playing in the MLR to ultimately maybe make it to an Eagles team. I think that's the next step. It used to be guys coming over, in their mid-20s and early 30s and playing for the Eagles, right? And now I think we're going to get them younger and younger coming over. And eventually that balance will tip. You know what I mean? And we'll have it where the high schools and the colleges are having more homegrown American players. But until that happens, I think we just have to kind of let it swing as slowly as it's going to swing. But Joey, you're up. Good, bad, the ugly for the 2022 season.
Yeah, well, I guess good. I've got to start with the TV product, not just here at the end of the year, but it's been so much easier to engage with the MLR versus seasons past for me. And this year, I've been in the middle of a season coaching while the MLR has been going on, and I think that's really, really important for the growth of the game, for the growth of the league. So I really appreciated that and how it culminated in the final. Bad. I'm such a competitor that I hate. I'm also a New York fan. I hate when someone has like any little bit of an asterisk that they put on something. Like I am the kind of person that I want you to have the wind at your back, both halves, feel like the ref is on your side and still beat you by 60 points. So it just bugs me that somewhere out there, someone like in LA or in the West Coast might be, but what if on this year? And that's the bad for me, and it just bugs me so deep and down because I want to compete, and that's just the way I'm wired. But and I guess on the ugly one is not only am I worried about what's going to happen in LA, Austin in the future, but how is this going to impact expansion? I'm near Rob out here in Chicago. I think we're very hopeful for a team. Does this show that there's more risk in the league? And does this scare potential investors away from it? I think that for the growth of the game, in a really altruistic sense, we need some people on top that can help create alignment and vision and direction. And so I really believed in what the MLR is building, and I'm really scared that the people who can implement that and create that alignment might be scared away. So quickly breeze through them.
No, I mean, as far as you're right. I think TRN subscribers, they just hit 100,000 full-time subscribers.
Yeah, 100K.
It's doubled, and according to Alex Magleby had some statistics, it doubled year to year from last year to this year. And I would say there was more TRN matches on TRN this year, I believe. There's less local contracts, but I like that. I like being able to watch everybody. I like being able to even watch Rooney. Really wasn't on local television as much this year, but I like the TRN feed. The broadcasting, the production teams in the individual cities are now 2 years in on it. I know last year the guys that were doing the New York one didn't have rugby experience. They had baseball experience, they had football experience, they had hockey experience, they had basketball experience, knew nothing about rugby. And it has progressed so much better in the production style that my father, who, even though I played rugby and I have a friggin' show about rugby, my father still doesn't understand rugby, right? So he understands it better now that the production is better. And he said, from the beginning of last year to the end of this year, it's just been a step above. For your bad, you're right. You know what? How about this? If the AGs just paid their players like they were supposed to, and LA did whatever they were supposed to do, maybe they would have won and maybe they would have been in the playoffs. But you know what? They weren't. So I don't know what to tell you about an asterisk. Listen, New York beat the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference, the number 1 team.
Yeah, they earned
Eastern
it.
Conference. Let's be honest. They had their best 3 weeks of the season.
Yep.
The last 3 weeks of the season, to quote Marty Veal in his victory speech. So that's what it is. And as far as the ugly, you know what? I'm not so sure. I understand what you're going for, but I wonder what we know now that there was a vote to have these actions taken by the other owners. Would that show an investor? Well, you have other owners who would say, we're not going to let this bullshit slide. We're not going to let this be detrimental to the league. And regardless of what the timing of it, and it's unfortunate for the players. We all know that. It's unfortunate for the coaches and the staff who worked hard to get where they needed to be. but the owners came in and said, we're not going to let it slide. So I don't know if that's necessarily an ugly portion for an investor, or maybe there's an investor out there that'll go, we have some guys that are really trying to grow this league the right way, and they will take action if they see shenanigans. So I see your side, but I'm thinking maybe there's a second side to that. So maybe, if you got $10 million, come see me and the Hammer, and we'll get a team in like Saskatchewan or something. Let's get a second Canadian team. Preston, you're good, bad, the ugly, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way around. I'm going to start with the ugly and end on a good note. Ugly is LA and AGs, obviously. I'm going to go from the other side that the Big Hammer said LA and AGs, I think the whole situation was handled really poorly. I get that the owners voted, and that's how things work. They voted on this situation to happen where both teams were pulled out of the playoffs. But I think you are penalizing the owners and GMs who are handling all the money and whatever other issues were penalized, but you're also smacking the players in the face and saying, hey, you played rugby, you did what you were supposed to do, what you're being paid to do, but you can't play anymore because it's your owners and GM's fault. And I think it's penalizing people that didn't have, not everybody maybe had a role to play with it, but it's really penalizing people that didn't have any role in it. And I think a fine, in my opinion, would have been a lot better off, just because, like, for example, Christian Rodriguez worked his butt off, has for multiple years now, and he could have had a shot at another title, and all of a sudden he's getting told, no, you can't play. Like, it's not his fault. Like, he did his job. He played rugby. He got them to the point where they needed to get, and he's just being the carpet's being pulled out from under him. So I think that's my issue. That's the ugly, is the situation was handled really poorly, in my opinion. The bad is, in my opinion, the MLR really should promote rugby in America. But on top of that, it should go to help the international rugby team, USA Eagles. And the fact that they have had 1 week after the finals to turn around and then go play the French Barbarians is piss poor, in my opinion. Like, I get there's got to be a little leeway for both, but 1 week to have a camp and get your players that are mostly from the MLR ready is really, like, not a good situation at all. The All Blacks have had, I think, 2 to 3, but they're the All Blacks, so that's okay. But your USA Eagles have to have more time than that to get ready, especially when a Rugby World Cup qualifying match is around the corner. And if you don't come away with points, the right amount of points, you're out of the World Cup. The one before a home World Cup is even worse, because this next World Cup, you not only have, in my opinion, have to prove that you deserve to be in the Rugby World Cup, but you also should have to win at least one game to prove that we deserve to have it and we deserve to play in it. And on the good, American Rugby World Cup, good news. NFTs, whether you like them or not, I think it's just like good to have the fun around it. Good to get kind of branch out, and there's just more attention internationally. I'm seeing on my feed, not only am I seeing, rugby, Super Rugby, AU, South Africa, all the different countries pop up on Rugby Pass, but you're seeing also American Rugby pop up almost as much. I've seen an Instagram, the Rugby Center, where they rank all the club teams, and they have 2 sections now. They used to just have Premiership and all the top ones, New Zealand, South Africa, all those, but now you have the bottom kind of ones, which are American, which they have the MLR teams and the Japanese teams in, and they have the SLAR teams in. So I think just the amount of attention that's getting pulled into the league is phenomenal. So my good thing is that American rugby is being seen as a threat and a big contender coming out.
Yeah, no, I think you're good. I love that good, baby. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
The bad, I don't know how we're gonna change the season. Unfortunately, I don't know what we could do about that. But you want your Eagles to play home, right? You want your Eagles to play in the United States. So it's a tough one for the Eagles, but that's why the Barbarians match is a tune-up match. So maybe you play some of the guys who don't have as much time. Nick Savet and Nate Brakely, give them a break. Play, Ben Bonasso, start him. You have, Cam Dolan, he's been golfing for a little while, right, Robbie? So he should be ready to go. He should be ready to go. I got to get my little nocturnal. But no, my point is, you can you can get guys together for 1 week for a tune-up match. It's not necessarily the end of the world. It's going into everything else that we get a little crazy for, like you said, the next couple matches against Chile. As far as the handling, yeah, it's rough. But that's the rules, man. I don't know. Like, it's tough. So my good, Ben, the ugly. So I'd say the good is seeing the statistics on viewership by Alex Magleby. I really love to see those statistics. It is growing in viewership, even if ticket sales are a little stagnant. The bad, I would say, not the officiating overall, but the way that the lack of use of ARs in making decisions. We've seen it less and less as the season has gone on, that the head official is speaking to ARs about decision, and then even deciding, if it's not going to go to TMO because they're doing some type of thing where it's scoring, that's fine. But talk to your ARs. That's why they're there, So I think the bad is they're not up to the standard where we need them to be. And then the ugly, I gotta say, I think the ugly is the way the fans were really divided about how everything shook out. The fans are still pissed off that the league hasn't clarified their position or anything like that. To which I have to say, I think you're just not understanding the fact that now that it's in litigation, you can't say anything.
Right.
It's literally, we've seen the court documents from the AGs, which one I think is preposterous because at the time, and it's dated, it says the AGs were the number one team in the league, and they weren't even the number one team in their own conference. So right there, the case should be thrown out, in my opinion, because you just lied about how good the AGs are. Just get them a little dig. But I think the ugly part is everything that's being thrown around. People should have compassion for the fans of those teams, because the fans aren't the ones who did this. They're just a fan of the team. They're a fan of the players. They're a fan of the coaches in the organization. They give their money to those teams and trust that those teams at the administration level are going to make the right decisions. And to see a lot of derision and division and name calling and everything, you have a lot of people that we see on social media, respect the kicker, and that's not rugby way. And then they want to just make fun of the teams that were out and talk shit about the fans. And as a matter of fact, we had somebody in the MLR fan zone start talking shit to a player's mother. Completely unacceptable, man. Completely fucking unacceptable. That's my ugly for the season. Listen, guys, great first round here. I loved it. Joey coming in as a rookie had a lot of solid points. So it's great to see a new guy on the show to really, hit his points solid. But we're almost ready to tee up a RPK interview with Logan Tago, who's the MVP of last year's PR7s. You will see him in San Jose. You will see him in DC, and then again in Austin for the final leg of the the PR7s. We have his RPK coming up. But before that, let's get a word from our sponsors.
Tighthead Brewing Company is not just Chicago's premier location to watch rugby and enjoy quality ales and lagers. It is also a great place to enjoy local acts performing live music every Thursday and Saturday nights. Additionally, their Wednesday night trivia nights are something not to be missed. Tighthead is located in Mundelein, Illinois, and easily accessible for many Chicagoans, as it is just steps away from the metro. Owner Bruce Durr and the Tighthead staff are dedicated to ensure your microbrew experience is as tight as their beers. Bruce's love for rugby extends beyond the origin of his brewery's name. Tighthead is committed to supporting the rugby community. This includes his support for Lake County RFC and our own Rugby Rant podcast show. Tighthead's tap room is like the familiar rugby clubhouse in which friends and teammates can meet, socialize, and enjoy the wide variety of brews on tap. Regardless of whether your palate enjoys a good IPA or dark barrel-aged brew, Tighthead can deliver. Hey, Chicago, when you want rugby, Tighthead Brewing Company will satisfy your thirst. Tighthead, it's worth more than a try. Hey, Rugby Rant fans, it's Rob the Hammer Hammerschmidt, and I'm back once again. This week I am flying solo with the Run Passer Kick interview. You know what? The hell with those two guys, Scott and that other guy, Ty. I love doing this stuff by myself because I get our super guests all to myself. Last week it was Lauren Doyle. This week we got none other than Logan Tago for that Run Passer Kick interview. And I'm excited because this guy has a really great resume that we'll talk a bit about. But Logan,
welcome to the Run Past or Kick interview, my friend.
Thank you, Rob, for having me, man. I'm excited to be on here. I can't wait to get to this. So I'm really happy to be here.
All right, I appreciate it, man. We had some good conversation off camera, and I can't wait for everybody else to get to know you and your personality a little bit better, because I think they'll like everything that they see, and give them a little taste of one of those personalities that will be playing in PR7s. But I don't want to give too much of that up, because that's something that we'll get into. But for those folks who have never seen the Run Past or Kick interview, works a little something like this. We're going to fire some questions at Logan, and each question will be prompted by Run Past or Kick. And Logan's going to tell you, the fans, what he's going to do with that question. And of course, as a sevens player, they do a lot of running, so I'm sure he's going to run with his fair share, right?
Yeah.
Which means he's going to answer it. But he also has two other options, and one of them is to pass. And we all know that sevens players like to pass, and we'll see how many passes we get out of Logan. Hopefully he'll run more than he passes. But a pass just means, yeah. A pass just means he's going to go ahead and he doesn't want to get himself in trouble with anybody there at Chula Vista or at PR7s. Or Logan can have fun with us, fun with me, put me on the back foot, put me on the defensive, make me work a little bit from inside my 22. And he can kick a question to me. You know, we know sevens guys, there's kind of a rule. You don't really kick in sevens because you're giving away possession. But I have a feeling Logan's going to, he may choose to kick a couple to me just to, make me work a bit and put me, like I said, on the back foot. So, Logan, are you ready for the Run Pass or Kick challenge?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right. So the first question, Logan, I'm going to try to do my best here. So bear with me, everybody. Logan, bear with me. But your first name is Malu Lau Amanu.
Amanu, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So Run, Pass, or Kick. Is there a meaning behind your first name?
Yeah, I'm gonna run this one. Yeah. For people that don't know, my first name is pretty long. I think it's like 20 something letters in there. It's Hu'umau Lau Wanganu. And it means a lot. What it means, like, to where I'm from, like from Samoa. It's so wherever you go, like you still gotta hold on to your culture, hold on to So no matter where I'm at, no matter where I go, I will always be like proud of Samoan, and I will never forget that. I'll never forget where I'm from, and then I gotta hold on to that, take pride of that. So that's what it means. Yeah.
Well, for sure, no doubt about it. I think there's the Polynesian cultures are a proud group of people, whether it's Fiji or Samoa or Tonga, proud people for sure. And out of curiosity, how did you just choose to go by Logan out of your choice? It was just easier for people.
It was when I first got to college in Washington State, and then it was all my professor. When I wanted my first time going to class, they had a hard time trying to pronounce my name. So from there, we used Logan, my middle name, as my preferred name. And even on the field, like when I play, people have a hard time. It's like, should we call you this, and that? Like, what do you guys want me? And then I told everybody, even the announcer during the game day, I told them, just call me Logan Tago. And then from there, from college, since freshman year, that's when Logan played a big part in my career. It's a name calling, yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny you talk about your time at Washington State, right? You were Husky. For those that don't know, I just want to get into that a bit. And I just want to mention your Vita and your background. So for those that don't know, as Logan mentioned, is born in American Samoa, played at Washington State University, the gridiron football, had a tryout for the Seahawks. So obviously wanted to stay in the Seattle area a little bit and took an opportunity to do that. Played up north of the border, so our Canadian fans might be familiar with Logan. Played for the Montreal Alouettes in Canadian football. And then transitioned to rugby. It's, I believe, with the Salt Lake City Gladiators.
Yeah.
How am I doing so far? Okay.
You're doing great. Oh, by the way, I play a game with the Seahawks too. So just to get that out there.
Played a game with the Seahawks. No kidding. What year was that? Out of curiosity.
It was right after college. I played the preseason games. Yeah, the last one with the Raiders.
Okay.
2018. It was right after college. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
So I think that was like the best part of my football career. Is to suit up and like play a game, like a legit game.
Yeah, in front of like 60,000 people. I mean,
it was.
That's pretty intense. Actually, one of my former students played center for the Posick. Played center for the Seahawks. He's still playing right now, I believe.
Nice, yeah.
Ethan Posick.
Yeah, he's long hair, right?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Based upon his brother, he's probably got no hair. Hopefully, they're not watching. They're big fellas, man. I don't want to cross them at all.
No, you're good.
So then, with rugby, you kind of made that nice steady progression from the Gladiators to the Utah Warriors selection. Of course, have been playing for the Utah Warriors, and now you're in Chula Vista, training with USA Sevens, and then you're going to be playing in the PR Sevens. So, I mean, man, you really got quite a well-rounded background, both in sports as a whole and rugby in general. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So on that note, run, pass, or kick, you were a standout athlete in American football. High school, you played basketball, you played volleyball. So, again, run, pass, or kick. How did you end up transitioning to rugby?
Yeah, I'm gonna run that because a lot of people ask the same question. So I'm gonna need to run with that, and I'm gonna answer that question. It was a COVID during COVID. I was getting ready to go to CFL, and then COVID happened, and then the whole CFL season got canceled. So I got stuck in Utah. My parents moved to Utah. That's how I ended up in Utah. Yeah, I went to Utah. I was gonna say goodbye to my parents, get ready to go to Canada, and then COVID happened. The whole season canceled, and I got stuck there. And I was like, I don't know what else I'm gonna do right now. And then it happened. I didn't know one of my good friends from back home, from Samoa. He lives in Utah, and his name is Joe Mano. He played for the Utah Warriors right now. Yeah, he's a. Yeah, you guys got to remember that name in the rugby. He's really good too. So he's the one.
He had a hell of a season this season.
Yeah, and imagine if he was playing a full season, it would be crazy. But yeah, go back to the story. I got stuck in Utah, and then he hit me up. He was like, "What you doing, bro?" Like, I'm in Utah. I was like, "Damn, I don't know. I got stuck here." And he told me about the Gladiator rugby, and then I was like, "Oh, I ain't got nothing else to do, so I'm gonna come out and just run with you guys, practice with you guys." And by the way, one of my brother played with Joe, the Gladiators, before I got to Utah. So my brother was familiar with the team and everything. And then I asked my brother about the Gladiator. He was like, "Yeah, it's a good club. Just go run with the boys." And then when I got there, one of my cousins, it was so funny. One of my cousins, my actual cousin, was on the team too. His name is Fred. And yeah, when I first got there at the Gladiators, like I felt like I've been on the team already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt like I knew these guys from back home. Like I fell in love with the game like immediately. I'm like, damn, like these are the people I used to play with back home, like hang out with back home. And now we're just running around playing rugby here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Like who would ever thought about like after 4 or 5 years, 6 years of my life that I will be back with my cousin and then with my friends from high school. So when I first got there, they welcomed me, the Gladiator Rugby. They welcomed me open arms. And then we had a scrimmage with another club team. That was like the first rugby game ever since COVID. So we had a scrimmage. I did not know the Warriors manager and coach was watching that scrimmage. Yes, it was funny. So us the Gladiator, we played the Antelope, the club rugby, and then we won. It was like 80. We put up like 80 points in that scrimmage, and then the manager and the coach, the Utah Warriors, they walk up to me and Joe. They recruit me and Joe on the same time, the same day. So they were like, "Oh, we want you guys to call us. We want you guys to come try out for our select team and stuff like that." And then from there, me and Joe was like, "Damn, we got another opportunity, like a great opportunity, and to go do something else." Especially for me, because I went from football to rugby. It was like my first time. But Joe, he's been playing rugby, so it was good for him too. So from there, me and Joe, did the select team. We did the whole season. And after the select team, we got signed. We went up and played with the big boys, the Utah Warriors, the actual Utah Warriors team. And then I think I only played 3 games with the Utah Warriors. And then most of the time I spent with Utah Warriors, I was just learning the game. Like I was trying to get to know the game. I was like to know how to pass the ball. But I'll tell you this. I'm so blessed with the talent. Like passing was really something. It was like how do you say it? It was natural. It was something that came natural. Like just passing the ball left and right. I did not have I have struggled like doing that. So I was blessed with like the talent. Like just rugby like in channel just came natural to me. The only thing I had to learn, I just had to understand the game, like where I'm at on the field and stuff like that. And then right after the Utah season, the MLR season, and then PR7s hit me up. A shout out to Brendan Sparks. He's the manager of the Utah Warriors. He's the one that put me on PR7s because I was nobody seen me play rugby because I only played 2 games or 3 games with the Utah Warriors. I only played 5 minutes. So obviously I had no clips. So Mike Togan had no idea who this guy is. So Brendan Spark told him, it's like, he doesn't need a tryout. That's the real story. Brendan Spark told Mike Togan, the PR7's manager, he was like, "No, Logan Tago don't need a tryout. I don't just believe in me. Just put him on the roster, and then that's it." And I was like, "Oh, that was a lot of pressure." And then I got the email. I signed everything last year with the PR7s. And then when I got there, it was 3 USA 7s players on my team. It was Perry Baker, Naima, and Wally Wellman. I was like, "Damn, this is legit." I never thought I would play with Perry Baker. Like everybody know Perry Baker.
Yeah, sure.
So I was like, "Oh shit!" It's like I gotta be on spot on my A game every time I play with him because I'm on his team and he's the captain. Yeah, and then look at where we at now. In Chula Vista. It's crazy. Yeah.
That is an incredible story. I mean, especially considering, a lot of fellas that come from American Samoa have played a bit of rugby before, even if they go then, into American gridiron because they're in the American school system here. Usually they have a bit of experience playing rugby. And for you, it sounds like you didn't have, much of a rugby background at all. You're still on a learning curve.
Yeah.
And to have the trajectory that you've had from going from, club rugby to the selects to the Warriors at PR7s, now at the Olympic Training Center, I mean, that says a lot about your athleticism and your growth and your potential, the ceiling, or lack thereof, I should say.
And
moving forward.
And that's why I'm always going to be grateful with the PR7s, because if it wasn't for them, they gave me the opportunity to show out and show people and show the USA what I can do on the field.
Right.
I wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to jump in. I have a question for you. And it ties into something that you spoke of, and you spoke to the fact your parents are in Utah. You have a cousin in Utah. You have a good mate from, back home in Utah. So many fans probably don't know it, although if people who pay really close attention to the league, I think, have a pretty good inclination. But, you're kind of, fans that are learning or new to the game probably don't know that Utah and Salt Lake City specifically have a really strong Polynesian culture.
Yep.
And there's a strong foundation, of course, at the Warriors itself. So run, pass, or kick. Did this culture within the Utah Warriors make it easier for you to transition from the state of Washington to Salt Lake City? You kind of talked about it with your friends and your cousin, but once you got invested in the Warriors system, did that make it easy as well?
Yes, it did. Because it makes when I first joined the Warriors team, when I see these guys around me, most of them like Tongan, Samoan, like Fijians, it makes me comfortable. I'm like, oh, this is where like I fit into this. So that whole Polynesian culture in Utah Warriors, it's working, and then even the fan base too, they love it.
Yeah,
they love it, and it's working. And then you see this past season, I think Utah set a record with the fan base, the most fans. But it's working out there. What they're doing with the Polynesian culture, I really loved it, man. I'm happy to go back and play for the Utah Warriors. It's like the fan base and then the Polynesian culture together. It's pretty big out there. So
makes it a comfortable home. That's good to know. Yeah. I'm gonna peel away from your career as it sits right now. I'm kind of interested in another piece that's loosely connected because we've talked about football, we've talked a bit about rugby. I want to kind of bridge the gap there. It's clear from your social media presence that you support and help develop youth football programs. I do a sniffing around in the social media world, and I noticed that. So run, pass, or kick. Do you also help coach and develop youth rugby in the Salt Lake area during the off season?
I tried as much as I can because most of the time I'm back in Utah, Salt Lake. It's only like a couple of weeks or a month. So, but every time the Utah Warriors hit me up, it's like, do you want help? I go. But that's the biggest thing about me. I love to give back to the community, especially the youth, because it go back to my story where I'm from. Like I really grew up. I was a kid that loved playing sports, and I really grew up from nothing. And there was like no resources, no equipment, nothing. So for me right now, I made it this far in like both sports of football and rugby. It's like I always go give back to the youth, no matter who you are. Like, but I always go give back.
That's awesome. It's great to hear, especially we know that in 9 years' time, the Rugby World Cup will be here in the United States. And we know that we've got to have, higher levels of coaching in order to prepare our young athletes to do that. And obviously it helps to be somebody like yourself who's played at a high level and to be able to use that information and connect it with the young kids that are starting to learn the game. So we love to hear that. Speaking of which, we're, like I said, we're 9 years away from playing host to the Rugby World Cup. Obviously, in order to be competitive, the United States must develop a young base of rugby players. So run, pass, or kick. Should sevens rugby be the first introduction for young kids to the sport, or should they start right away with 15s?
Ooh, I would run that. I would love to answer that question too, because I feel like I think sevens it should be the first one, because the sevens, like, it helps the kids pass. Like, it's if you play sevens, you got to know how to pass right and left. And then I think the other thing about seven too is like you got a lot of space to work on. So if you can do that in sevens, like I think going in 15s, like you'll be good to go. Because I'll be honest, when I first got here in the Chula Vista, was trained with the USA Sevens. And then after Dubai and Spain tour, I went back to Utah and then played with some 15. I'm not talking shit about 15, but I feel like I got more knowledge and from sevens going through 15, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it just you kind of tend to see a bit more space, and so
More space,
when you get used to seeing that space, you begin to find it. Even when that space is smaller, you still know what to look for and know where the gaps are at. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, and then the other good thing about sevens, you always move the ball back and forth.
Yeah.
And then if you start at 15, you get used to like just pass and then run, just run. You just gotta run. And then if you go from 15 to 7, that's kind of hard because you don't want to hold the ball and just run by yourself all the time because if you do that at 15 a lot. So yeah.
Well, it's kind of like so I don't want to get into cross sports, but you know, I've had conversations. One of my other son plays lacrosse, and there's box lacrosse, which is smaller sides, and I make the same kind of analogy. You know, with sevens, you get more touches, right, with the ball, right? The idea is to keep possession. You don't kick away possession. You don't spend nearly as much time in the set piece play, right? So that means the ball's in play a lot more. When the ball's in play, young kids can actually learn how to use it effectively, right?
Yep.
And those skills can be applied as they gravitate towards 15s if that's the way they want to go.
Yes, you got it right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna, we're here at the end of our regular run, pass, or kick package that goes in our TRN. And so for those who want to get more from this interview with Logan Tago, they of course can visit Patreon. It's at rugbyrantpod.com/Patreon. And for $3 a month, the cost of a half price beer here in Chicago, where I took TJ, for those that don't know, my boy TJ out in LA, I took him out in Chicago. Beers are expensive in the city. For half of that, one beer, you get some great information. You get some great insights from a guy like, Logan Tago, who's played at so many different levels. So Logan, again, thank you so much for joining us. And for, again, those people that want to continue to see the interview, you can catch us on Patreon. But for those that don't, thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the next.